For those of y'all who didn't know, the Patreon version existed. It existed. Don't forget to hit the like button coming through the door as we take you through this in song. Now, over the past few days, the sports world was rocked where they found out about Udoka's just his history of his private life had became public to where it rocked the world the way it was released just in bits and pieces by the Boston Celtics as to why they terminated him after saying everything was consensual. It confused the general public, the masses, and everyone involved. So now people were scratching their head. They didn't know what was going on. So bits and pieces started to leak out over the internet. And I'm here to put the pieces together for you. Some things that were told that was accidentally told to you because the Boston Celtics did not want to release it themselves. And many of the things that was released, some of them are crazy and are false. Others and other things that were mentioned because of the simple fact to try to make him look bad. Because this has embarrassed the whole franchise, and embarrassing him was the main purpose of doing a lot of this stuff. Now, they said there were many affairs. Some people are saying there's a pregnancy. We're only going to focus on the situation that has him suspended. The rest of it is extra add-on that may be true, may not be true. But a lot of inaccuracies was told. As the fact that, he was planning on leaving Nia Long and all of these things. A lot of these things are not true. So let's stick to the gist of this matter and get you through the situation at hand. Now, I cannot tell you what the actual date is when they started their relationship. But inaccuracy number one. Yes, thank you for hitting the like button. I appreciate that. Everyone wants to know who the exact person is. As the Patreon version has been out for quite some time. And the person this is accurate. This is the person that is responsible, Kathleen Nemo Lynch. Salute from Boston. Okay. Now, here is this problem that a lot of you have, and it was a problem that I made myself. A lot of you assume that this woman is married to the senior vice president of the Boston Celtics, the senior vice president of finance, because that's what was leaked out to us. This is inaccurate, people. This information is wrong. And it's being thrown around the internet, and people don't know the truth. Patrick Lynch is the senior vice president of finance. But Patrick Lynch is not married to this woman. Patrick Lynch has no real connection to this lady. He knows of her, but they're not in a relationship. Patrick Lynch is married with children of his own, and this is not his wife. There is another Lynch. Da, da, da. Her husband is Taylor Lynch. And see, no, she wasn't a plant. She has been with the team for years. But see, this is what I told you. You guys didn't know that. Taylor Lynch is her husband. And he's basically a consultant for the Boston Celtics. He does he's outside party work for the Boston Celtics while she works for the Celtics. She handles the travel situation, so he's a friend of the team. He works at a consultant firm called Mercer Consulting. So Patrick Lynch, that they keep promoting and saying Patrick Lynch because they looked at the last name Lynch and just went along with it. So they have 3 children of their own, 2 girls and a little boy. A lot of people are saying the little boy belongs to him, and it's just crazy, right? But anyway, that's beside the point. Let's get into what has caused all of this uproar. Now that we got the confusion part of who's who, how did this relationship even get off the ground? Now, no, Patrick Lynch is the senior vice president of finance, or what they call a controller. He's been there since 2021, I believe. And then before that, 3 years later, he was working somewhere else in another department. But this guy here, Taylor, that's the guy. That's her husband. Right. So, yes, exactly. Now, the situation is when they started dating, she handles the traveling affairs for all the coaches and the training staff. Like if they have to have travel arrangements, she arranges that. So it's not unusual for him to have her phone number in his phone. She actually contacts his wife, fiance, sorry about that, it's child's mother, which is Nia Long, and fly Nia Long from wherever she was. And she's transferred over to move permanently in Boston because she was normally from place to place because of work. She was mostly in LA, staying on the West Coast. And now, she's going to get a permanent residence here in Boston now that they can start a life and they can focus on a marriage and everything else. And people don't know that they were working on, actually going to be married, working to making that official. So all this we were getting ready to break up thing, I don't know where that came from. They don't see each other very often because of work, because of him always coaching and him doing what he has to do for his job, and her always being away for whether she's doing a project, film, or whatever, television, movies. She's away doing her thing. They don't spend a lot of time together. So there's a lot of separation time in that period. Their son is 10 years old. They've been together for about 11, 12 years. They've been engaged for like 7 years. Then most people who are engaged that long don't normally get married. They have like 5 years as the cutoff. like the 5-year engagement. Now, as far as Taylor and her husband, Taylor Lynch and his wife, which is Kathleen, that works for the Celtics, the one that the coach is involved with, allegedly, the one whose name thrown around, but we know what the situation is. As far as their relationship, we don't know but we can assume there's definitely some problems if she's jumping up and down on the soul pole. She wanted the soul pole and she got the soul pole. Them redheads are freaky. Now, redheads are completely freaky. Hit the like button for that if you know redheads are freaky. Now, we proved earlier this week that that was a lie. Player came forward to tell Nia Long about the situation. I don't even know where that came from. No player told anybody anything. And the media day should have told you that. I told you this personally. Right? Did a Celtic player snitch on him? Absolutely not. I made that video for a reason. Because we had to tell you guys the truth. And in the media day, you saw that. Players didn't even know. And we're going to go chronologically through this. So now that we know the parties involved, we can now get to it. All right? So now that they're dating and seeing each other, and the emoji in his phone, he has the picture that you guys have seen quite sometimes, but often, because those two, they talk side by side over and over again about travel. She helped Nia Long find her place in Brooklyn. Not Brooklyn, but Boston. Find her home out there in the Massachusetts area where the athletes stay, because she doesn't know anything about Boston. This is not where she's from. So, of course, they had to find that and get that done for her. Now, in his phone, as her emoji, or a photo, this is her photo. As they would joke, an inside joke between the two, he's finding Nemo. Her last name, her maiden name is Nemo. So it's like finding Nemo. So she was Nemo in there. So this is their little side joke to one another. Finding Nemo. Trying to find Nemo. Right? Cute and corny, right? Now, she was allegedly going back and forth, having fun, doing all these things. Then her and the husband were having conflicts. She started wearing cornrows. She got the long nails with the rhinestones in them. You ain't playing me. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding about that part. But no, no. What happened and what transpired was entirely different. Things began to spiral because people get laxed. What they were doing was so unnoticed, it was not strange to see her be around the coach because she's the travel assistant. So if they were seen anywhere, no one would even bother them or even second guess it. So it was so done well that no one knew what was going on. Like none of the players, and even if they did know, players, it's like a code, unspoken rule of code. You ain't finna go tell on the coach for doing stuff like that because the players are doing stuff like that. The players are sleeping with each other's girlfriends. Like, come on, we've seen players sleep with people, mama, and then they didn't get suspended at all. So it's like, come on, this stuff happens in the league, but this is the problem that ensued because of it happening. Right? The postman always rings twice. No, she would go out and have these conversations on the phone, talking freaky, whatever. And she got caught on her ring, got sloppy. She was on the porch, and it was on the ring because she wasn't doing the talking in the house. She was outside of the house in the front having these conversations. Her husband, who is Taylor Lynch, heard this ring but didn't know who she was talking to. So rather than to harass this wife, which he did, they had an argument, and she denied, and didn't like being spied on by her husband. So he said he was just checking the ring, which he normally does for safety reasons, and then he discovers this. So this scares her to the point where she wants to call everything off with Ime Udoka. He doesn't want this thing to stop. So he's like, what the hell? Oh, you think you could do this to me? You think this is off and on? You think you can just decide when this is over? I'm deciding when this is over. And I'm saying it ain't over. No, you're on the clock. I'm the coach. I'll blow everything up. Then what? Oh no, you gonna see me. We gonna have this talk. This ain't over. So allegedly, that was the whole situation there. The pressure in her, the text messages, her career is on the line. You know, you're just a travel agent. We can get another travel agent. I'm the head coach of the Boston Celtics. You know, like, who you think you're doing this to? So now all of a sudden, the husband at the same time didn't know who she was having the affair with because he didn't get that on the ring. The ring didn't tell him who it was. He just knew she was talking to somebody, and she never engaged who it was. So he works for a consultant firm that consults, do work for the Boston Celtics. But Mercer Consulting is who he works for, Mercer Consultant LLC. And what he did was have his firm use the people that they use when they go out to consult with other firms who do their investigative work, investigate his wife. And what they found out through text message, deleted text, phone records, and they found out who the person was, and it was the head coach of the Boston Celtics, Ime Udoka, which was to his surprise and shock. He was shocked to find out it was the coach. So then he tells the wife, shows her all the evidence. She cries and confesses. Then she comes up with this story of how she was being forced. She tried to break it off quietly and everything, and he wouldn't stand down. And the husband see those tears and everything else, and then they go and say, "Well, we got to take it to, we got to go to to the office. So the Boston Celtics, with all this was going on, knew absolutely nothing until July. So July hits, and as soon as July hits, it's probably the end of June, this is brought to the Boston Celtics. So the Boston Celtics have all of this information on their front lap, right? The reports, they're seeing the investigation, they're seeing the text messages, they're seeing the phone records, but what they're reading from the text messages is disturbing because it's like pressuring and harassing somebody, almost extortion. And could be a problem. So they want to handle this in-house because this is the face of their team, their coach. And they just went to the NBA Finals. This is bad. So now they want to keep this thing in-house as much as they can, but they're really pissed off at the coach. They talked to Ime Udoka, and they said, look, we're going to start investigating this thing and seeing what we're going to do. They had 4 weeks of going through everything. They interviewed him, what's going on, brought him in, talked about it. He didn't deny anything. The only part he denied was the intent and how it was being made out to look, because this thing was consensual, is what he was saying. This is a consensual relationship, and he just wanted some answers, like as to what was going on. He kind of got blindsided by what was happening, and he was trying to get her to see her to have this conversation. So the tone and the language he told was to get her to see him, so that, like, no, this isn't over, like, we need to talk. But the tone is taken out of context, is what he was trying to get over to the Boston Celtics. But still, this looks bad. So it looks real bad. So they're like, we got to think of the best course of action that we'll be able to use and what's best for the team. And so they were already preparing, like, we can't have this guy here. We're going to have to, he's going to be suspended for sure, but we're going to have to make a decision. And it's too close to the start of camp. The NBA is going to have to be notified of this. And Ime Udoka, throughout the entire time, even knowing since July that this has gone to Boston, they've interviewed him about what happened. He knows this is going to come out. This is going to be a big thing. So, Boston basically told him, like, look, you better get some things in order because this is going to hit. He never told Nia Long. 2 months go by. He hadn't even told Nia Long. He's even trying to contact his Nemo. While all this is going on, he wants to have a conversation still with her. And they told him, you better, like, lawyer up, get some advice. Like, don't contact this woman. Like, what are you doing? You don't need to have a conversation with her. It's already being said. You need to stop before this becomes a legal situation for you. We're trying to handle this behind closed doors. So the NBA finds out and says, this is your mess. Y'all need to clean it up. We are dealing with the Robert Sarver mess that we just got egg on our face. We can't come back with this. We don't have any attachment to this whatsoever because you didn't involve us when it first happened. You decided it was a Boston thing and you was going to handle it in-house, so handle it. You guys handle it. We got too much to deal with. We got a lot of bad press on us from the Robert Salver situation. We don't need more bad press because of your mess. Y'all handle it. And the NBA has stayed quiet. They have said nothing. Adam Silver, nothing. This has been all on Boston. So he did not tell Nia Long. And in the week where this is finna blow up and come public, 2 days before it goes out public, he tells Nia Long. So she doesn't even have time to process everything. She don't even have the time to understand fully what is going on. Thanks for the super chat. I appreciate that. Oh, there was alleged other women in there, but that didn't have anything to do with this. This is the situation that caused the suspension. So it wasn't the fact that they had a relationship and that it was consensual. It was his text messages, his pursuit in what they call stalking. He was trying to get answers directly from her because her husband found out. You know, I mean, anybody from the outside, the person looking in, know that when something turns left like that, the other person must have found out. You got to assume like he found out everything, you know, and he didn't care. I mean, Udoka just didn't care. But he wanted to have this conversation with her because she immediately got distant and, you know, she's a married woman. She got sloppy and got caught. But the husband is not Patrick Lynch. Stop saying Patrick Lynch, Senior Vice President of Finance, is not him. Her husband is Taylor Lynch. Yes, that is her. That's her husband, Taylor Lynch. That's not Patrick Lynch. That's Taylor. Taylor works for a consultant firm called Mercer Consultant LLC. That is the Patreon where everybody knew already on the Patreon. You guys are just finding out tonight. That's why we have the Patreon. The Cash App is Carcino. Yes, that's the husband. And they used a firm, a consulting firm. So they used their investigative team that they use when they do work as a consultant firm to find out the information they need. The law firm that they use to do the investigative reporting or whatever, he did all of that himself on his wife. After what he heard on the ring, he never knew who the person was, so he wanted to find out because she never told him. So once the investigation was done, it wasn't done by the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics had no knowledge of what was going on. They brought their findings to the Boston Celtics. So the investigative firm was hired by Taylor Lynch, her husband. So that's why the Celtics didn't understand. Oh, thanks, Linda. I appreciate the super chat. Right. Because of this, like I told you, his Nemo rather, that he keeps in his phone is the little fish, Finding Nemo, their little inside joke. Nemo is her maiden name. She's Kathleen Nemo Lynch. Well, it's Nemo rather, but they go by Nemo because of the fish. So he wanted to find his Nemo. He dove in them waters to go find Nemo. She wanted that soul pole. We've seen it happen. But why isn't she being drugged through the mud? Her name is not being mentioned. She has silenced all of her social media. She's deleted or canceled all her accounts. But my thing is, if you're going to embarrass this man and tear him apart, why is she being protected like she's the victim when they said it was consensual? Because they made a mistake in how they presented it to the general public. As I told you before, when they made the mistake, they made it big. The Celtics leaked it out as a consensual relationship to save their butt in this whole situation. Now, Udoka isn't coming back to coach the Boston Celtics. That's out. The year suspension was for them to just put that in place while they go ahead and find out and wait till all this dies down and let him go quietly. One, because you can't fire a black coach. They don't want that based on these situations. They are Boston. They already looked at as a racist organization, racist city. They already know what's coming. So they was like, look, we love the guy, which they did. They loved Udoka. They are very upset that this has happened to them and that he did this to them. So this is his humiliation without even finalizing everything behind closed doors. They just automatically suspended him. And the reason why they didn't do it because they didn't have enough time. Media day was this week. They couldn't have this going on while media day is coming up and camp is getting ready to start. You can't have it. Hell, training camp just started today. So they had to go public. They had to do it immediately. But they didn't solve anything behind closed doors yet. It's still lingering. And they went into this, we got to protect her, but drag his name. It's not going to make sense to the general public. If they'd have just told us, we're suspending him and we're going to investigate it further down the road because there's some allegations about stalking and, then it would make sense to the general public and they wouldn't have pushed so much. But when you start off, it was a consensual relationship within the organizations that violated team policies. It's too vague. Will he face legal problems? Maybe. And I hope all of you here that's here right now have subscribed to the page and hit the notification bell so you can be notified if there's more information that comes up. How did I get this information? Let's just say I know some people that played in the industry or played in the league and people that's around the situation. I told you a lot of the Boston Celtics players, a lot of them didn't know. So for them to go and tell on the coach wouldn't make any sense because what would they tell? They didn't even know. And if they did know, they weren't going to go say nothing anyway to anybody. Even if they had a problem with the coach, they wouldn't bring that to the table. Because you'll see how little anybody cares about that stuff. Now, if they bring this or they go to a legal situation, it would bring more scrutiny on her that, and I think she just wants this quietly to go away, but she's embarrassed. Her name's being thrown around. Her family is probably embarrassed. So to protect her, it looks like we're saving and protecting the damsel in distress when she was consensually cheating on her husband with another married man because she wanted the soul pole. Well, he wasn't married, sorry, engaged man. She's the one that's married. So she's the one that committed the adultery. She's the one creeping out on her husband. But yet she's the one that we have to protect. Right? So now this should eliminate all of the rumors and the lies that you've heard. Lie one, Nina Long pushed him to cheat. We went through all of that. No man should ever be able to sit there and say, oh, this woman is the reason I cheated. That makes no sense whatsoever. Absolutely none. No woman should make a man cheat. A man do what he want to do because that was his decision. We went through that. We always love to push things off as a reason of why somebody did something to try to justify what they wanted to do. No, you did it because you wanted to do it. And at that time, you decided that. That's your decision. No. Mm-mm. Neil Long spoke on it. A relationship situation.
Themselves. Like everyone has a different understanding, a different agreement, and you have to do what works for your particular family, especially when you're both working and you have busy schedules. Women are super women, but we also have to recharge our batteries. And I've learned, especially in this COVID time, to really examine how I'm balancing my work home life in a different way.
Okay? That's one thing we're missing here. And I want you to understand that. Let's listen to Neil Long first break down the relationship situation.
For themselves. And everyone has a different understanding, a different agreement, and you have to do what works for your particular family, especially when you're both working and you have busy schedules. Women are super women, but we also have to recharge our batteries. And I've learned, especially in this COVID time, to really examine how I'm balancing my work home life in a different way.
Yeah.
Relationship for themselves. Like everyone has a different understanding, a different agreement, and you have to do what works for your particular family, especially when you're both working and you have busy schedules. Women are super women, but we also have to recharge our batteries.
See? Now, so it's not her fault, but they love to put the blame. They love to put the blame on us as men. Thank you, Glamping Jules, for supporting the Cash App. I just got your Cash App. Thank you. Appreciate it. Right. So that was clearly the situation. Cut and dried. The Celtics did not know anything till it was brought to them by the husband who is like does some consulting work for the Boston Celtics. Their firm, Mercer Consulting, and he works for Mercer Consulting. So, and his wife, she's she handles the travel. She's like an assistant for the Boston Celtics, an administrative team, whatever. But her duties is to take care of the responsibilities of coaches, their families, relocating them, putting them in the locations. She's on that team. So she helped Neil Long definitely relocate when she got into town. Handled the travel arrangements for her 10-year-old son and her to come back and forth. In the meantime, the whole time she's banging the husband. But yet, she's the good person, and we have to protect her identity. And she will face no discipline. When any HR situation like this would happen, and this would happen in another company, both parties would have to be let go. Any situation I've seen saying it violated team policies, I would say both parties would have to find work elsewhere. This has caused way too much drama. You messing around with cheating on your husband, sleeping with the coach has violated our trust in you as far as you brought more distraction to my company and my business. And we definitely didn't need going into this season. We're just gonna separate ourselves from this whole thing altogether. Good luck in your future endeavors. That's how we're gonna live. What was the other lie that I heard? The other lie was, what was the other lie that was told? Man, it was so many told. That Ennis Cantor went and told about the coach. I read that somewhere. Somebody had sent that to me. Sorry, they sent it to me. Ennis Cantor had something to do with it. And I'm like, Ennis Cantor had nothing to do with any of it. That's a lie. Ennis Cantor was gone because of his religious beliefs, and he would not stop hammering China. Well, it was his pursuit of her to find out why she was cutting everything off. After it was cut off and she just abruptly stopped everything, he was trying to get more answers. Not like, so he didn't want it to end. because he really wanted clarity on what was going on. The way he went about doing that, was not the right way to do it. The text messages, the pursuit, the stalking pursuit, the aggressive bullying, cyberbullying, what you would call that probably, with texts and all that. He just wanted some answers. So he just wanted some answers to the situation. That's all. Hey man, I told you, redheads are freaky. Redheads are real freaky. And I'm telling you, that redhead probably did some things Nia Long is too pretty to do. And he got hooked. He got caught in that redhead, that redhead fire, baby, that red fire. And he was like, woo, I'll be back Thursday. You gonna be my Saturday night thing. Now, allegedly, there's a lot of other women. They were talking about a pregnancy. They were saying he was going to leave Nia Long for her. This is a lie. He was not leaving Nia Long for this woman. I don't know where that came from. Nia Long just moved permanently to Boston. So if that was the case, she would have not moved there and got a permanent residence in New York when she's basically on the West Coast. She's not going to switch coasts and come all the way out there if he was planning on leaving her. His main problem, as far as embarrassing her, is not giving her the proper time to adjust to this actually hitting. She was only told 2 days before the bomb dropped. He didn't give her the proper time. He didn't give her the proper etiquette. He just dropped it on her lap when he knew this was coming out months in advance. He's already knew this was coming out. So he already had a place of residence where he was going to be hiding out. So that's why the press can't find him. He already knew to get out of town and to be out of town and to stay out of town while all this is going on. So you're not going to see him around. The media doesn't know where he is. That's why they can't. He was already gone. Everything was cleaned out. He was already gone. And the reason why they couldn't continue with this situation is because he was already somewhere else hiding, as the Celtics told him he better, find a place to go before all of this even hit. The only reason the press conference was called the way it was abruptly is because the sideline reporter, who happened to be white, when the black sideline reporters complained, nothing was said about it. But they just said, sorry, it's not me. And when the other sideline reporter was accused, the white lady, she was outraged the Celtics did not say anything to clear their name because their social media is being attacked, and then their friends were asking them hey, was it you? Was it you the one with the coach? So they were disgusted because it wasn't them, and they were disgusted that nothing was being done about it. So what Brad Stevens was reporting about was the actual one sideline reporter who was outraged, the white girl. But he said our women that work in our staff, and he tried to act like he was outraged. No, he was only outraged when the white sideline reporter complained. Yep, it's Boston. Yep, she's a real smoke show, right? I done a video on Shaka. It's on One Crack News. Don't forget to sign up to the Patreon, which is Carcino for Life. You would have had this information days ago had you been on the Patreon. Yes, a lot of players know. Like the former players knew of this whole story before it went to current players. Current players are just finding out. Most of them don't want to know. Players on the team knew nothing. Tatum knew nothing. Most of the people that knew found out after the fact. And they were called in and told how bad the situations were. Matt Barnes didn't know a damn thing. Kendrick Perkins was told because he's in the media for Boston. So Perk was told the situation like, hey, let me just give you the heads up, so in case, you do your job, this is the heads up. All right, so this is that. Like, he's, like, you don't go out and really start defending him. So Perk had told him what happened. But someone else, a female, contacted Matt Barnes. And then Matt Barnes started running around and changing his whole shirt. But when he was first told, he was told by Perk what happened. And then he started reacting to the news when the Boston Celtics made the announcement. When he was in that bathroom talking, he was going off of the press conference. Then it looked bad on him. And people reached out to him, was telling him what was what. Then Perk said something entirely different. Like, no, this is what happened and this and this and this. And Matt Barnes, once again, saying it's 100 times worse. So, which is not helping the situation. It wasn't 100 times worse. It's just taken out of context what his side of what he meant to get out of the situation. He was trying to elicit some type of answer and keep this thing going. He didn't want this party to stop. And he was like, look, like, let's talk. Like, let's get around. Like, we could do this. But the way he went about it, the threats, they would look at it as intimidating, bullying, the text messages, that is enough to really get you fired in a relationship situation. Anybody else, it would have been like a couple, arguing back and forth. People have said probably words to a girl they've dated. Yeah, that's pretty interesting. That's a very interesting take. I must say, that's creative. But now you have it all. Hopefully everybody here has subscribed to the page. Hit that notification bell. We're going to stay live with y'all for 5 more minutes. You don't want to marry her. He was not finna marry this woman. He was not going to marry her. He wasn't leaving Nia alone to marry this woman. This woman was married and was going through no divorce proceedings with her husband. You must have got here late. It is not the vice president of the Boston Celtics. It is not Patrick Lynch. Patrick Lynch is the senior vice president of finance. People are mixing it up because both of their names is Lynch. It's not him. Her husband is Taylor Lynch. Patrick Lynch is married to a whole nother lady, and it's not her. She's married, it's her, but she's married to a Taylor Lynch. That's the husband. And he's not the senior vice president of finance. I told you, people have gotten this all mixed up. How do I know? Let's just say I'm smart. Okay? Patrick Lynch is married to a whole nother woman and has nothing to do with this situation whatsoever. So it's not the senior vice president of the company. And everybody from news reports, they've all been messing this up. He is as a consultant of the Boston Celtics. His name is Taylor Lynch. That is her husband. Their last name is both Lynch. That's what messes up and confuses people. Because once they saw her name was Lynch and his name was Lynch, they thought that was his wife. That is not his wife. Her name is just Lynch too, because she's married to someone named Lynch. She's married to a man named Taylor Lynch. It's not, Patrick Lynch is not her husband. Don't worry. You go research and see if I'm right. You do your work. How about that? If I can adamantly sit here and tell you that her husband is not Patrick Lynch, she's married to Taylor Lynch. I must know what the hell I'm talking about if I could say that. How can we believe you? Don't believe me. You go find for yourself. You go find out who the senior vice president, Patrick Lynch of finance, and his wife and his children. Big Pat, that ain't his wife. Her name is Kathleen Chemo Lynch, married to Taylor Lynch. And he is a consultant he works for Mercer Consulting. And they work, there's him. That's not Patrick Lynch. That's her and her husband, Taylor Lynch. That's not Patrick Lynch. It's Taylor Lynch. Does he look like the senior vice president of finance? No, he's not. He's a consultant, and he works at a consultant firm that works with the Boston Celtics. So, yes, we know what we're speaking on when we're talking about that. He works for Mercer Consultant, LLC. And they work and do consulting work sometimes with the Boston Celtics. She works for the Celtics. She's a talent. She handles travel arrangements, what they call a team assistant. Yep, team service manager is her title. And he works at a consulting firm that sometimes do consulting work for the Boston Celtics. The Boston Celtics knew nothing about this and didn't launch anything into this. It was brought to them by the consultant firm, and he had an independent and launched an investigation. Well, basically, got a private investigator to investigate his wife, but a private investigator that they use at their consultant firm when they have to consult and find out information about companies and businesses. His Ring doorbell caught his wife on the phone having a very flirty conversation, but he didn't know who it was. He confronted his wife. They argued, and she never gave up who it was. She deleted everything, wouldn't turn over her phone. So he hired the private investigator to investigate his wife. She called the coach and said, "It's over, it's over, it's over. We're not doing this anymore." She didn't want to do it no more because he found out. And she just wants it over. And the coach is like, "No, you're going to continue your duties. You're getting in that ring." So the way he went about doing it, trying to stalk her and see her when she don't want to see him no more, this became a problem. Then he never knew it was the coach. The husband never knew who it was. He knew she was cheating, but he didn't know with whom. The private investigator and showed the deleted text messages from her phone and found out it was the head coach. Phone records, everything. So this was brought to the Boston Celtics as the husband brought it to her, and he won't leave me alone. I broke it off because I love you. And then she played victim, and then they went to the Boston Celtics. And this is how the Boston Celtics found out. So it's simple. It is real simple, people. Very, very simple. It is not as complex as they're making it out to be. Now, a lot of people were upset, but this is how the Boston Celtics found out. That's how they knew. They didn't launch an investigation into this until it was brought to them. They decided to do an in-house thing. The NBA was like, since you didn't include us in any of this information that you possess, this is your mess. You clean it up. Don't put the NBA on this. This is your garbage. Yep. So definitely like the video, subscribe to the video, subscribe to this page rather. If you on the Casino for Life Patreon, you've known about this already for a couple of days because we've already showed you. And for all the VIP members, we got more information coming out on the Patreon that's going to be shocking before this month even ends. You think this information is something. You know what? Since y'all here right now, you want me to blow y'all minds? Y'all want a little bonus for everybody who didn't stay this late? Since y'all been up and rocking with me this late, I'm going to give y'all a little bonus. Yeah, I'm gonna give y'all a little bonus. I feel that's only right. Because I want some answers to this question myself. Y'all ready? Are y'all ready for something real? Y'all ready to hear something that y'all probably ain't heard or forgotten about and was swept under the rug? Y'all ready to learn? Why nothing was done when wild married man Reggie Miller, Hall of Fame Reggie Miller, kept going after this man's wife? The man had to put up a banner flying it over the neighborhood saying, Reggie Miller, stop pursuing married women. Do anybody remember this? The man would not leave, Reggie Miller would not leave this man's wife alone. That's that man's wife. Reggie Miller would not let it go. The man had to hire a damn plane to fly that banner. Outlaw, no. Told y'all, this thing's finna get real explosive around here. So they're gonna have to explain to me how now this is a violation of code of conduct. He has a baby now with his girlfriend, but at the time, Reggie Miller was dating this woman, seeing this woman, or they had some sort of relationship. Okay? And this girl and her husband owned some type of store, or some type of business. And both of these people actually, they, her and her husband, I don't know what the situation was, like, but I guess things must not have been going too well, because she was having conversations with Reggie Miller, but according to the owner of the store, Reggie Miller was stalking his wife. I'm dead serious. Reggie Miller time, from the Indiana Pacers, he's saying Reggie Miller was stalking his wife. I'm not joking. So anyway, this is dead serious, man. I am telling you the 100% honest to God truth. So what happened was, he said Reggie Miller was following them home. And Reggie Miller was out there following his wife on the road. He was going to get a restraining order to keep Reggie Miller away from his wife. I mean, it's hilarious to me to even talk about it, because it's just it's absurd that I'm like, I can't wait to see this woman. What is it that Reggie really want this one lady? So, this one man and his wife, I think they own a big, it's a surf shop in Malibu. That's what it is. They have a surf shop in Malibu. And Reggie met the girl in the surf shop. Okay, that's what happened. It's all coming back. Hit the like button, ladies and gentlemen. He said, I knew it was something off with dude. So, anyway, Reggie met the girl in the soul shop, in the surf shop, rather. And Charles Barkley and Reggie were talking. They were down in Malibu. And Charles Barkley was talking about Reggie, you know, like, and all this other stuff. And they actually talked to this girl, you know, and they were, like, according to the guy, Reggie was stalking his wife. Now, he's saying Reggie was harassing them. He said he harassed my wife by phone, including sending her 53 text messages over the course in less than 4 hours. 53 messages in 4 hours. He said, the guy said he confronted Reggie Miller, right? And when he confronted Reggie, Reggie threatened him over his wife. So the man like, hey, man, that's my wife, Reggie. Reggie's like, man, get away from me, because she's ours. We share that girl. That's my side piece. She's your wife. Get that right. Get that in your head. Get with the program. Oh man. I'm telling you, y'all might think it's a joke. I am dead serious right now. This is like really went down. Like all of this that I'm telling you about really was going down. He said Reggie Miller rolled up on him with friends with guns and implied that he would get hurt if you don't stop questioning him about him and his wife. Stop. He's telling the husband, stay out my business with your wife. I'm dead serious. Like, what planet does this happen? What planet does that happen? Yo, man. Look, I ain't gonna tell you what me and Karen do. Ain't got nothing to do with you. You and her exchange vows. That's y'all business. But what me and Karen doing, they ain't got nothing to do with you. I'm cracking up now listening to it. But that's crazy. Right? That's crazy. So they rolled up on this man with guns. Reggie is the goon out there in Malibu. And tell this dude, stop asking me questions about me and your wife. What we do is our business. This has nothing to do with you. Dang, Reggie should be right now talking to Udoka like, look, man, you need to go tell that husband, look, what me and your wife do ain't got nothing to do with you. When she come in your house, that's when it concerns you. But when she with me, that's our business. Reggie Miller, baby. Shoot, Miller time. See, I told you I had something for y'all. For those who stayed this long and rocked with me. That's why I told you, y'all got to subscribe to the page. Because y'all been missing out on so much. Now it's finna get even more strange. It ain't over yet. Let's go listen. It seemed like the matter seemed to have ended when both lawyers got involved. And he put out a statement talking about Burial said that Reggie's behavior toward my fiance. I think people in Malibu share my views. that being a famous basketball player should not provide you some type of shield for inappropriate behavior. And since Reggie apologized to the man on the phone, I guess somebody, his attorney said, look, just apologize to this man for trying to, you took the wrong approach to his wife. So the lawyer made him do it, did it, but he said, I cannot comment further on the matter as he believes the whole thing will be resolved. So the guy ended up getting a restraining order against Reggie Miller. So yeah, the guy he definitely has a restraining order against Reggie Miller. 100%. The guy has a restraining order against Reggie Miller over his wife. This guy went and bought a banner that says, Reggie Miller, stop pursuing married women. And had the banner flown around Malibu, Florida, so that Reggie can see it. That's crazy. That's just crazy, dog. How do you want a wife that much? The dude's like, we driving and Reggie Miller is following us in the car. Like, when you pull over, let me know. Because me and your wife, we got some unspoken business to do. There we go. 6/5/2009. They filed this harassment. Alex Vaughn then filed it. That is the harassment. He said he had friends with guns. He implied I would get hurt if I didn't stop questioning him about his inappropriate relationship with my fiance and his attempts to subvert his efforts. I have attached numerous of messages to petition this as well. He pursued my fiance with numerous text messages, BM calls, phone calls. He attempted with all of this. He followed her outside the grocery store and stalked her in his car, then waited for over an hour, then followed her again as she was headed back northbound on PCH. Now, this is what they mean in the NBA when they say we know situation. This situation is not something new to us about Udoka. This is so it's not alien to them. This stuff happens in the NBA. It happens in the NBA. So I just showed you proof that this happens in the NBA. So they trying to make this look like it just never got blown up like this because social media wasn't like YouTube wasn't the way it is now. Could you imagine if Reggie Miller did that today? What this would do to Reggie Miller now? Shoot, Reggie on TNT. Reggie on TNT right now. So don't forget, subscribe to the page. Thank you for your time. Your boy is out. Told you I had something for y'all on the Patreon. For all everybody on my Patreon, I'm telling you, y'all got something that's only finna hit on the Patreon. And probably about tomorrow it'll be out.